Swimmers raised thousands of dollars to help out a Carthage coach. Plus, Joplin Church volunteers pass out baskets of blessings for families in need. And we share the latest on COVID-19.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The McDonald County Sheriff's Office is investigating a shooting death after finding a body at an apartment complex in Knoll. This is KOAM News at 10. I'm Kate Kelly. Authorities say that a little after 10 this morning, Knoll's Marshal Office and Sheriff's deputies responded to a call of shots fired at the Knoll Heights apartments. A man's body was discovered with gunshot wounds in an apartment on the 2nd floor. Witnesses identified a suspect who had fled the scene. That suspect is now in custody after an arrest in Benton County, Arkansas. No names are being released at this time. A defiant President Trump took to Twitter today, again contesting the outcome of the election that he lost. At the same time, some Republicans are expressing frustration with his refusal to accept defeat. CBS's Chip Reed is at the White House.
On the golf course today, President Trump took a break for several minutes to talk on the phone. He was probably not talking to Maryland Republican Governor Larry Hogan, who said this today about the president's efforts to change the election outcome.
We're beginning to look like we're a banana republic.
The president fired back at Hogan, tweeting, "This Republican in name only will never make the grade," to which Hogan responded, "Stop golfing and concede." The president was also probably not chatting with Republican Chris Christie.
The conduct of the president's legal team has been a national embarrassment.
In Pennsylvania, a federal judge rejected the president's election lawsuit, comparing it to Frankenstein's monster haphazardly stitched together. Pennsylvania conservative Republican Senator Pat Toomey described the judge as a longtime conservative Republican and wrote, "I congratulate President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris on their victory." Despite the growing number of critics, most Republicans are still quietly supporting the president in his largely unsuccessful quest to overturn the election. Some, though, are speaking out, like Senator Kevin Cramer of North Dakota.
I don't know why we're so easily offended by a president that's carrying out all of his legal options.
But even he said it's now time for the president to start sharing information with Joe Biden.
It was past time to start a transition, to at least cooperate with the transition.
President Trump's campaign says it plans to appeal that case in Pennsylvania, and his attorneys say they hope to take it all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. Chip Reed, CBS News, the White House.
Nick Kelly joins us now with our first look at weather. Nick, I know it's been another cold, chilly, rainy, kind of dreary day.
On the plus side, though, Kate, we've gotten the worst of the rain out of here this morning. I just wish temperatures around Joplin were a little more eager to respond, at least to some returning sun this afternoon. The best we could do, though, 42 this morning and a high of 49. But some areas that saw more sun this afternoon did get a chance to not only dry out, but bounce back into the lower 50s. It is nice. We're looking dry right now, but with temperatures already dropping back into the upper 30s across much of the area, that's going to be close to the dew point. And with all the moisture we picked up from this weekend, that's resulting in some areas of fog already developing as we go throughout parts of the area. We'll anticipate the areas of fog to continue throughout the night before we see our next wave bring cloud cover back in by sunrise. So I think temperatures, though, right around 35. Even though I can't rule out a few showers during the day tomorrow, I think most of us will be dry, but chilly again with highs near 52. More rain chances on the way, Kate. We'll break it all down for you here in a bit.
All right, thanks, Nick. The annual Cat Tracks YMCA National Swim Meet in Carthage today turned into a whole lot more for one of the Y's volunteer swim coaches. KOAM's Caitlin Shive shares how swim team members came together to surprise their coach in a time of need.
Cherie Woody is a volunteer and swim coach at the YMCA in Carthage, but while enjoying a summer day, she dove into a pool unaware of how shallow it really was, and in an instant, her life changed.
It was just a wrong angle, and I should have known better, and it was a freak accident, and I broke my C4, C5 vertebrae, which means I broke my neck.
The injury left her unable to enjoy the sport she loves.
It's just hard to accept in general, and then to think that you're not going to be able to do what your passion, what drives you, what fuels your fire every single day.
Her injury requires multiple visits a week to the hospital for therapy, and it's not cheap. So her swimmers decided they were going to help out.
Similar to like a walkathon, except a swimathon. So however many laps they swam is how they raised money. and collectively as a group we were able to raise $10,000.
For $10,000 to Cherie from the Ferry.
A check for $10,000 was presented to Cherie at the annual Cat Tracks National Swim Meet.
It really just shows you not only the support that we have for our own and our neighbors, but it also shows you that the youth, how much they respect and understand the power that they have and what they can accomplish.
And really, more than just the community, it really stepped up to help Cherie out, and I think it helped, helps them feel like they're doing some good in the world too.
That's more than anybody. Like, they worked their tails off for that, and it just shows the love that we have for each other.
The money raised will go towards Cherie's medical expenses, a surprise that's still sinking in.
I just can't believe that anybody would come together as a unit and raise money like this. It's actually like unfathomable.
In Carthage, Caitlin Shive, KOAM News.
Cherie is making progress since her accident back in June. She says she is determined to one day walk again. A church in Joplin wanted to show their giving spirit ahead of Thanksgiving, passing out blessing baskets to families in need today. Celebration Church says that need is great this year. Each basket comes with ingredients for Thanksgiving dinner classics like stuffing, green bean casserole, rolls, and more. People reserved their baskets ahead of time and met with church members who prayed with families before passing out the baskets, along with turkey and pie.
We call it blessing baskets because we want people to be encouraged and strengthened with hope and know that we're a community that loves them. We don't judge them, but we care about them.
Volunteers distributed 100 baskets in total, their biggest haul yet. That's news and weather in our first 7 minutes. Just ahead, health experts voice concern ahead of Thanksgiving as COVID cases continue to spike. Since total U.S. coronavirus cases crossed the 12 million mark Saturday, Johns Hopkins University says at least 177,000 more have been added. The virus is spreading at a rapid pace around many parts of the nation, and there's concern ahead of this week's Thanksgiving gatherings. Vaccines appear to be on the way, spurring guarded optimism. CBS News correspondent Nancy Chen has more from New York.
The nation's vaccine czar says 2 frontrunners now in late-stage testing could bring the coronavirus pandemic under control by the spring.
70% or so of the population being immunized would allow for true herd immunity to take place. That is likely to happen somewhere in the month of May.
Vaccines from Pfizer, which applied for emergency use authorization Friday, and Moderna are raising hopes with tests showing they're about 95% effective. But success depends on people getting the shot.
If you have a highly efficacious vaccine and only a relatively small 40-50% of the people get vaccinated, you're not going to get the herd immunity you need.
As almost every state battles a new COVID-19 wave, an estimated 50 million Americans plan to travel for Thanksgiving, defying the CDC's warning.
You can't assume that you don't have the virus, and you can't assume that the people whose home you're about to enter don't have the virus.
Deb Berger flew from Chicago to San Francisco to visit her daughter for the holiday.
We're going to be at her apartment, and it's just the 2 of us.
In northern and southern California, people were in the streets despite a 41-county overnight curfew that took effect Saturday night.
I think there's too many restrictions as is.
An illegal curfew, 10 o'clock curfew, we're not going to abide by it. It's ridiculous.
While in Texas, the National Guard deployed to the El Paso County morgue as the area experiences a spike in hospitalizations and deaths. Nancy Chen, CBS News.
The coronavirus has killed about 1.3 million people around the world, 250,000 of them in the U.S. It's not just the U.S. that's suffering in this devastating COVID spike. Countries like Canada have been plunged into fresh lockdowns by a surge of infections. And Europe is once again a global epicenter of the pandemic. CBS News senior foreign correspondent Elizabeth Palmer reports.
In Liverpool, the military helped out with a vast trial of new rapid coronavirus tests. If they work well, the idea is to test everyone in England every week, as politicians in the West grapple with guidelines for a COVID-safe Christmas and holiday season. Europe is now well into its second wave of COVID-19. There are hot spots across the continent, and the WHO estimates that one European is dying from COVID-19 every 17 seconds. ICU beds, especially in France and Switzerland, are filling up. Their hopes, like the world's, are focused on the vaccine. Here's a shipment of China's arriving in Brazil, where it's being tested. The data so far show it is safe, but not as effective as the two American-European front-runners. A third top candidate, being developed at Oxford University, showed promising interim results this past week, including in the elderly. Meanwhile, world leaders gathered this week on the mother of all Zoom calls in a virtual G20 meeting. They pledged fair distribution of the COVID vaccine to poor countries, like Iran, where CBS traveled earlier this month to witness the deadly toll of an infection out of control. And India, where millions celebrated the main Hindu festival of Diwali, are paying the price, a surge in both infections and death. In spite of international goodwill, developing countries that have to rely on the WHO for their vaccines are facing a deadly 2021. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, London.
A little later, we'll share the heroic tale of a Florida man's determination to save his puppy from the jaws of death. But first, Nick Kelly will return with your full forecast.
Quite a bit to get to, so let's dive right in. Starting with the time-lapse from Indigo Sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. Showed a cloudy start to the day. Everybody saw that. Then it was nice to see eventually sunshine return before we hit sunset this evening. While it wasn't the best-looking end to the weekend, it was nice to see the rain with our stubborn storm system finally clear out late last night and certainly by early this morning. I will say, though, with mostly clear skies out there now and with moisture still on the ground yet to be evaporated, it's leading to some areas of fog. Some areas approaching 4 miles of visibility, especially from Mount Vernon down south. So we're going to continue to see these areas of fog develop before more clouds start rolling in by sunrise Monday morning. Cold out there for sure, 38 degrees with a south breeze at 6. Not a strong breeze, but it does make it feel like 33 in Joplin. The Joplin Metro in general, we're seeing middle to upper 30s, and much the same across the rest of the region, mainly middle to upper 30s. Fortunately, with the fog developing, I don't see temperatures dropping too much more from here on out. So we'll hold temperatures mainly in the mid-30s before we see, eventually, highs back near 52, despite our next wave bringing in cloud cover and maybe a few showers our way for Monday. Breaking down the weather setup, though, at least a surface map here, that stubborn front certainly got out of here in a hurry. It's well to the east and southeast of us now. That being said, we're watching our next front getting stacked together out west, and with it, an upper-level wave finally working out of the Pacific. Some energy from that's already trying to sneak in here by Monday morning, so you'll see what that does here with this run of the future track forecast here. Again, areas of fog developing through the overnight, then energy from that next wave out west starts to bring in the cloud cover. We'll go partly cloudy skies by sunrise. Again, all of this should keep temperatures in check, mainly mid-30s to start your Monday morning out. With this next wave on the way, maybe a few showers possible, mainly in our northern counties during the afternoon. But I think most of us will be mainly on the dry side, and everybody should at the very least be looking at a chilly, at least if not a bit warmer afternoon. 35 in the morning, 49 by noon, and afternoon highs right around 52. Going through the rest of Monday evening into Tuesday morning, that next wave and that next front starts to work in. We'll start to see better rain chances work in, periods of rain and even thunderstorms during our Tuesday. But have a look by 6 and 10 o'clock Tuesday night. This could be potentially strong thunderstorms. Not looking at anything too severe at this point, but Doug and I will keep a close eye on that. With that said, that next wave of rain on the way could leave us with as little as half an inch to maybe as much as 2 inches before this system starts to clear out by Wednesday morning. Once it does, look at us turn partly sunny, chilly for Wednesday, but highs in the lower 50s. Here's Thanksgiving Day. I'm going partly sunny and mild with highs near 60, but you can see that next wave off to the northwest by Thanksgiving. Once that works in for Black Friday through the rest of the weekend, we'll continue with keeping on a few rain chances around here. But 52 tomorrow, 60 on Tuesday, back to 53 on Wednesday, and thankfully a dry, mild Thanksgiving Cape before we see more rain chances by Black Friday.
All right, Nick, I'll definitely keep my umbrella handy, but that looks like a good week ahead to me.
especially that dry Thanksgiving. That's looking really nice.
Absolutely. Thanks, Nick. Coming up later in sports, a few local high school football teams are deep in the playoffs. We'll tell you the semifinal matchups coming up next week. Also, the Chiefs are in Las Vegas looking for some revenge against the Raiders. Andy Ciateco has those highlights and more later. A man risks his life to save his beloved puppy, and it's all caught on camera. Wildlife cameras captured the dramatic rescue in a Florida community. The puppy is okay thanks to the quick actions of its owner. Justin Casey tells us more.
This is the moment Richard Wilbanks wrestles an alligator to save his dog's life.
He just came out like a missile.
The sound of his puppy's cries are too upsetting, so we're not sharing it.
They're like children to us.
Wilbanks pried open the gator's mouth and saved his dog, Gunner.
He had one little puncture wound. My hands were just chewed up.
Even after being dragged underwater in the jaws of a gator, Gunner is doing just fine.
I was able to save Gunner's life.
But how did this terrifying encounter get recorded? The answer, a partnership between the Florida Wildlife Federation and the F-Stop Foundation.
The video was jarring.
Meredith Budd is the regional policy director at the Florida Wildlife Federation. They typically capture videos of things like deer or bobcats, not this, and it's all part of a campaign called Sharing the Landscape.
We live on a shared landscape. We don't just want to tolerate wildlife, but rather we want to thrive with wildlife on a shared landscape.
Their goal is to help people appreciate and understand the wildlife they live near, and by doing so, help reduce the conflicts that can sometimes happen between people and nature.
It gives us a new appreciation. We do need to be aware they are wild animals. They're not here for our benefit. We're very lucky to share the space with them.
Gunner's now a little hesitant getting near the water, but because Wilbanks calls this a learning experience, he's keeping Gunner away from the water now and always on a leash.
Keep your guard up, enjoy, but don't get too close.
An incredible rescue. We take this time now to honor another four-state hero. Alexander Guerin joined the Air Force in 2013, earning several honors for his service, including an Achievement Medal. His hometown, Altamont, Kansas. We thank you, Alexander Guerin, our four-state hero. Welcome back and welcome into the Toyota Sunday Night Sports Feed. The Kansas City Chiefs are fresh off their bye week. The Chiefs are in prime time tonight on the road facing the Las Vegas Raiders. Kansas City's only loss this season is to the Raiders back in Week 5. Raiders opening drive of the night, Josh Jacobs fights his way in from 2 yards out. Las Vegas on top early 7-0. The Chiefs would respond right away though. Mahomes, he's going to dump it off to Tyreek Hill. Does the rest. 3-yard score. We are tied at 7. And then the last play of the first quarter, Derek Carr finds Nelson Aguilar in the end zone for the 17-yard touchdown. Raiders back on top 14-7. And then in the second quarter, Kansas City has an answer. His name is Clyde Edwards-Helaire, ties the game up on a 3-yard touchdown run. And then late in the quarter, Mahomes looking for the end zone. Pass, though, picked off by Trayvon Mullins to end the drive. Chiefs down 3 at the break. I think this one just went final. Chiefs, they win this one 35-31. 3 local teams are still in the hunt for a state championship title. Webb City, Lamar, and Cassville have all made it to the semifinals in their respective classes. Let's take a look at who they will be facing. Starting in Class 5, the Webb City Cardinals aim for back-to-back championships facing the Platte County Pirates. This one is a rematch of last year's Class 4 state championship game. The Cardinals went on to win that one 48-0 for their 15th title in program history. Webb City will host the semifinal contest this Saturday. Kickoff is set for 1:30. In Class 2, the Lamar Tigers are in the state semifinals for the 11th time in 12 years. The Tigers have been pretty good this season, averaging about 42 points a night, and they are 10-1 on the year, winning their last 8 straight games. On Saturday, the Tigers will host Jefferson. That one is set for 3 p.m. In Class 3, last year's state runner-up, the Cassville Wildcats are looking to make it to their second consecutive trip to the state title game, but they will have to go through the semifinal round The Wildcats will be on the road facing Maryville Saturday at 1 p.m. The Oklahoma Sooners have really hit their stride in the second half of the season. Last night, the 18th ranked Sooners topped rival Oklahoma State 41-13. OU opened up with a 21-0 lead on the way to a 6th straight Bedlam Series victory. After starting the season 1-2, the Sooners now have won their last 5 straight games. And with their sights on a Big 12 championship game, sitting at 6-2 on the year with 2 regular season games remaining.
We've been in this long enough that I know y'all get tired of me saying this, but if you just win, stuff takes care of itself. So we don't talk at all about who else is playing who or where we stand. We just know if we win, good things happen. And the more you win, especially this time of year, the bigger the games get and the bigger the opportunities get.
No matter where we're at, and we fought back, and we're in a good spot right now. We got 2 games ahead of us. We're just taking it day by day, game by game.
That's a look at sports. Back with more news after this. Well, Nick, you know the saying, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. It's certainly starting to feel that way, but let's get through our Thanksgiving week first.
Yeah, at the very least, we'll look forward to a nice Thanksgiving. We just got to get past the storm system on the way starting tomorrow and certainly by Tuesday. 52 tomorrow, 60 with periods of rain and storms on Tuesday. Then we're dry and chilly for Wednesday, mild with 60 for Thanksgiving.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Nick, and thanks for watching. We hope you have a safe and happy holiday this week. Good night.